Welcome to iAccess VO with Brian Fischler and Ed Plumacher. Making it happen with VoiceOver accessibility. And now, here's Brian and Ed.
Welcome back to the final show of iAccess VO, not ever, Ed, but for 2016.
All right. Hey, you got it right. I'm impressed.
You know me, anything with numbers or countries or anything you had to learn in school, I don't do so well with. I did a lot of sleeping.
Thank God your school days are long over with, Mr. Fischler.
Hey, I believe it or not, I was actually in AP history. So
yeah.
I do know.
What does AP stand for in your regard?
Associated Press? I don't know.
All present?
All present. Hey, when it comes to dead people, you saw Bill and Ted's. So, Ted, what you're telling me is Caesar was a dead salad dude?
Okay.
I believe I had a similar answer to that.
I'm sure you did.
It was a great movie, Bill and Ted's.
Yeah.
But too bad they made a sequel that was just terrible. But can you believe it, though? End of the year.
Yeah, I mean, this is the second year end we're experiencing. We were podcasting for a few months at the end of 2015, and we made it through the entire year of 2016, and I'm looking forward to a really good 2017, my friend.
Yeah, I think the key to our success is we never see each other, so we don't annoy each other. We're in two different locations.
You know what? You may be onto something there.
Hey, you remember, Mike and the Mad Dog? I mean, they hated each other. They recorded together for years.
Yeah, I used to run into those guys all the time at Yankee Stadium.
And I'm sure Mike was the jerk and the Mad Dog was a great guy, but
you're not too far off.
Yeah. No, have not heard a lot of good things about Mike Francesco, but hey, he's the most successful sports talk radio guy in the country, so can't argue with success, can you?
I guess not. So let's get to it.
Even though this is our year-end episode, this is going to be our special described video episode because there's a lot going on with described video. Heck, we even had a Pornhub update, a batch of new videos, Ed, for Pornhub.
Oh, really?
You knew that. Are you afraid to admit it publicly?
No, I'm not. I know it because you told me.
No, you told me.
I told you.
You told me that there was a new batch of, and then Pornhub did contact us to let us know that they took another swing at doing described video, and I did check it out, and they are doing a better job, and it seems like it's easier to get the stuff playing and everything, but we just wanted to mention that if you're into that sort of thing, heck, there's a whole bunch of new described video porn out for you, so you don't necessarily need to go out to celebrate New Year's.
Okay.
Well, let's move on because we are a PG show after all, and Ed, we had a very historic deadline that didn't get a lot of media or fanfare on December 20th, about a week ago.
Yeah, and this is something we've covered throughout the year. I think this is our most talked about topic on iAccess VO for 2016, and I think we've done several episodes on it. We're finally here at year end, and I think we're a little pleasantly surprised that we saw some action happen going into this last week.
Can I correct you? I thought Pornhub was our most talked about subject.
No, Pornhub is your most talked about subject.
Okay. No, December 20th, we had been told, you and I actually thought the deadline was December 31st, so pardon us, but that's our research team, which once again we had to fire right before Christmas. So if you are looking to be a researcher and you don't mind getting paid nothing and doing tons of work and getting Ed coffee, let us know at iAccessVO at Twitter or iaccessvo@gmail.com, because we do need to hire a whole new research team for 2017. But this December 20th deadline came for talking menus. This is in the United States. For talking menus to be accessible for the blind. We thought it was going to come and go with nothing, and I think it really started with Verizon Fios, surprisingly, of all companies. All of a sudden, people started reporting, seeing a new accessibility setting under their boxes, and if you are a Verizon Fios customer and you are not seeing that setting, you probably need to get a newer box. But several other companies, such as Dish Network, DirecTV, Comcast for a long time has had talking menus, and me being a TiVo subscriber, Ed, I did a search thinking, I'd find nothing, and all of a sudden there was a whole thing about TiVo and their new built-in screen reader.
Yeah, I know. I guess you had called me earlier this week, and you were extremely excited because we've discussed this before, and I was an early adopter of TiVo. I really liked it, even though it didn't speak to me. It had audible sounds, which allowed me to really know what was going on. You were there as well, and then you said you'd probably never get another TiVo box, and all of a sudden here they come out with a built-in screen reader, and you were like in heaven.
Yeah, well, it's funny. I had two TiVo boxes, and then about 3 years ago they were very nice, where they upgraded my box because I needed the newer software. And they ended up upgrading it. I think I just had to pay the costs and the shipping. So I was able to use the app on the iPhone, which was completely accessible. And I could access my programs and recordings and set shows to record all through the app. And I could actually start the programs playing on my TV from the app. And I thought that was fantastic. But then this screen reader came out. And, you have to have the TiVo Romeo or the Bolt boxes, which are the two newest boxes. And I ran out the other day, bought a TiVo Bolt. Luckily, the prices have really come down. And sure enough, you do need sighted assistance setting it up. But once we got it set up, you just press this one button for 2 seconds, and it turns the screen reader on. And it works awesome. Fantastic. Yeah.
That's great. And this is something that's really, really good for some people that are in markets where the cable providers have fallen really short of where they should be. You can get one of these boxes and just put the cable card from your subscriber into that box, and then you should have all this accessibility.
Yeah, some cable companies do provide. You can get a TiVo box through them, so you don't have to. Unlike me, I went out and bought the box, so I own it. But some companies do have it, and if it is a Romeo or Forward box, those boxes now are fully accessible. And Ed, they even have a dedicated button for described video. So for the first time ever, I'm getting described video on my cable shows that have it.
Right, and you told me too, when you went out and you bought this box, you hooked it up, you had to do a firmware upgrade on it the first time you hooked it up, correct?
Correct. We had, I first pressed the button as my buddy was setting it up, and I couldn't get anything. You have a whole guided setup, which was not accessible. And I don't know if it is now guided setup once it did the firmware update, but so you are going to need sighted assistance. Now, the only disappointing thing with TiVo, and this is a 1.0, so for a 1.0, I'm pretty impressed. TiVo has never had a screen reader. It's not like this is Apple where, they've had a screen reader or VoiceOver for years. It doesn't work with the secondary apps, for example, like Netflix, Amazon Video, some of your on-demand programming and everything. I tried to get the screen reader working there. I've already reported this to TiVo. I'm hoping, with the next update or something, that might be working. So that was unfortunate because it does advertise that it works with Netflix, but it unfortunately does not.
Well, is this something that it works with Netflix when you get into the menus and stuff, but not with but is it running like an app, just like the app on the Apple TV?
It runs like an app. You go down and there's you press Netflix and you go into it, but then that's when the screen reader stops working. Now you can do a search for, say, House of Cards in the TiVo and start it playing through the TiVo. The only problem is it's not going to play the described video track, I noticed. So that is one thing where I'd like to see some improvement in everything. I think I did try hitting the described video button, and I don't think it played. I'm going to have to try that again. So maybe I am incorrect about that. I was playing around with it late at night last night. I just got it, and I had been out for a little bit, so I don't think my brain was at 100%.
Oh, were you at Schillinger's again?
I love how you compound that. Yes, it was a Schillinger's night. As the listeners know, I was really sick for a while, so I wasn't out for a bit, and I had to go out and make my Schillinger's and visit. I was had Dillinger's dinner, had a great burger, and then was off to Shillelagh's. And happy to know that they're open on Christmas Eve and Christmas, because Schillinger's never closes. Well, now you got me confused. Dillinger's closes, Shillelagh's never closes.
There you go. Well, they don't close because they've always got that stool there in the corner waiting for you.
They both do. They both do. They're great places. But hey, Ed, have you ever played around with Roku?
Actually, I have not, and there's some I noticed some great content that you can get specifically geared toward Roku. So, it's just one of those things is how many different boxes am I going to buy to hook up to my television set?
Well, interestingly enough, Roku has always been inaccessible to blind people, but we are hearing, and somebody, maybe a listener, can confirm this, Roku, they did meet the deadline, and they built in a screen reader supposedly, but I heard it's not very good. So that might need something that needs a little work. Let us know if you are a Roku user. That's ROKU. A lot of people love the Roku, but I think you really need to have low vision. But hey, I was shocked because we heard nothing, and then Verizon Fios had it, Dish Network had it, DirecTV had it. We have not heard whether Time Warner or Cablevision have met the deadline, but so do let us know if you are one of those providers. Let us know if these companies met the deadline.
Yeah, well, I'm tempted to get the Amazon Fire Stick now that I have a new Amazon Dot for Christmas, so we'll see how they interface.
You don't have an Amazon Dot.
Yes, I do. I got one for Christmas.
Oh, you got a Dot? Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Well, technically this episode's coming out after Christmas, but it's not Christmas yet when we're recording. So how do you know that you got an Amazon Dot? Are you sneaking into the packages?
No, I bought it for myself.
The gift that keeps on giving.
Well, let me tell you, being this has come out after Christmas, I went crazy trying to get an Amazon Echo for my oldest son.
You're completely sold out.
They have been completely sold out, and we were running them down, tracking them down. I mean, I was on websites for Bed Bath & Beyond, Lowe's, Home Depot, Best Buy, B&H Photo in New York, and could not get it. Amazon is stating January 20th or 24th when it's available. Well, turns out I have a friend of mine from work yesterday, walks in yesterday morning and says, hey, B&H Photo has the Amazon Echo. I said, no, they don't. That's one of the first shops I went to. She goes, I was just on it. They say they have them. They opened up at 9 o'clock. I was on the phone at 9 o'clock in 3 seconds, and they had one, and I bought it, and it arrived the next day, and it was awesome.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah. 2 hours later, they were sold out again, and nobody has them. So I was able to get it in for Christmas for my son. It was awesome.
Well, you know what it sounds like to me. Wow, it really sounds like that Google Home has taken a large part of the market away from the Amazon Echo, and the Amazon Echo's not selling as well.
I'm talking about the Amazon Echo.
I'm being sarcastic.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Oh,
I thought the Google Home was going to completely. You can't get the Echo, so obviously the Google Home has not.
It's like anything else. I think what it is it's expanding the marketplace. It's creating more awareness, and I think when people are comparing the two items to each other, I mean, nothing against the Google Home. I just think that Amazon has the upper hand right now because they have the relationships with so many third-party applications. So they do have the upper hand over over Google Home right now. I mean, the technologies are very similar. The search engine capabilities associated with Google, I'm sure, are superior. I hear some of their voice recognition is better, but it's working well and people are happy. That's what counts.
Yeah, I got my mom the Amazon Echo for Hanukkah and her birthday, and she loves it. I mean, she's only had it for like 2 weeks. She already wants to get the Dot to travel with her.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, it's so funny when you tell somebody, oh no, I don't think I'd have it, and then you get them one, and they're like, oh my god, she loves playing. The only problem is I don't know if I could ever visit my parents again because she's constantly playing Broadway show tunes, which I hate. It's just I can't go there anymore. So, Mom, it's been nice knowing you. Enjoy the echo.
That explains a lot. Now I think I understand you a little better.
What do you mean? I don't understand. I'm confused.
Yeah, of course.
But no, so it'll be interesting to hear, the one thing that my mom, I keep explaining to her, Mom, it does more than just play music. You have skills that you can teach it, and it's just who one of our big sponsors are for Laugh for Sight is. They provide liquor for the silent auction and everything, Patron, and I have a little bit left over. And how funny, like the next week, Patron introduced the Patron skill for the Amazon Echo, which you can now ask it, I guess, how to make millions of different drinks with Patron, which I imagine I'll be dabbling with and everything. And you might too.
It was great. I mean, they have been very very accommodating for you, with you, and for you over the years. And it's nice because of what they do. It allows you to provide your attendees a free open bar happy hour, or actually hour and a half, which is nice because I know we do have a lot of people in the blind visually impaired community who show up, and it's hard enough for them to come up with the money for the front door and then to 2 drink minimum for Gotham, and it's a nice added bonus for them. So.
Now you said you got the Dot. Why didn't you get the Echo? Was it because just cheaper or?
No, because it was sold out.
Okay.
So I figured, well, let me get the Dot. I'll keep it near my desk and interface with it and see how it works and things like that.
So it's funny. My Dot actually stopped working last night, so I'm gonna have to play. I unplugged it, plugged it back in, and I still haven't been able to get it to start working, and so I'm gonna have to play around with it. It's the first time I've had an issue with the Dot or the Echo and everything. It's just not responding to anything, so I don't know what's going on with it and everything. But I imagine I'll be playing around with it later today to get it working. You're lucky I woke up to do the interview this morning because I had to go old school and actually use my iPhone to wake me up.
Yeah, well, that's why I 95% of the time when you're home, I call you on your home line. But I know when I want to make sure that you're ready for a show, I will ring you on the cell phone because I know the cell phone's always next to you.
Oh yeah, it's always next to me, and I did not want to miss this guest because we've got a very exciting guest. A lot going on with Described Video. With the 21st Century Communications Act, with the December 20th deadline, Ed, why don't you tell our listeners who we're getting ready to go talk to?
Yeah, we're going to go talk to Joel Schneider, who is just a fascinating individual who, for the most part, has been involved in this process since like the late 60s, early 70s. I mean, he's been a lifelong advocate for audio described video, and I think he's got a wealth of information for us, and he's on top of this whole process of getting this Communications Act passed, and also the compliance of getting everybody to comply with it. So let's go talk to Joel.
Now we'd like to welcome in a very special guest that Ed and I have been very excited about interviewing with everything that's been going on with Described Video and deadlines. Joel Schneider from the Audio Description Associates. How you doing today, Joel?
I'm doing well, Brian and Ed. Great to visit you.
Welcome, Joel. Good to have you on.
You bet.
Exciting times going on for us blind people. Why don't you first tell us what your company is all about?
Sure. Well, I've been working with audio description since really its beginnings as a formal service, which date back to 1981. I was part of the small group of audio describers that began hashing out the basics of what all of this is. In conjunction with delivering description at performances at Arena Stage in Washington. And not too long after that, I formed this company while I was also working at the federal government at the National Endowment for the Arts. but began pursuing the professional work with audio description, initially with performing arts, but fairly soon after that, beginning doing a great deal of work on video, national network broadcasts, then film, and then museums as well. So we actually do description across the board in a wide variety of genres. Over the years, I've described all the different art forms, of course, but in addition to sports events and rodeos and parades and weddings and even funerals, audio description really can be helpful wherever the visual image is critical to an understanding and an appreciation of the event.
Now, did you say you started way back in 1981 with this?
81, that's right.
Wow.
That's right. I had already been working as a volunteer at the Washington Ear, which was still is a radio reading service in the Washington, D.C. area. I think I started there in about 1972, reading the Washington Post on Sundays. And, of course, how do you read the comics on Sundays without describing the images? So I was doing that all along, not really knowing anything, that there was anything called audio description. There really wasn't at that point, at least in a formal sense. So I was, as I oftentimes tell folks that I train in audio description, that I was really taking a page out of Mayor Fiorello LaGuardia's book. He was the mayor of New York City in the 40s. Yeah. And during a newspaper strike, he read the comics to the people of New York on the radio, and of course had to describe the images. So I was doing a little bit of that in 72, and then 81, so that for that whole decade, and then in 81 is when the Washington Ear developed with Arena Stage this first ongoing professional audio description service.
Wow, and it's amazing how since, I guess, 72, 81 till present day, technology has just changed unbelievably, and to still be involved with audio description to where things have gotten today, you're almost like one of the forefathers of audio description.
Well, thank you. But the technology has increased. Well, as you know, I mean, computers go out of get old-fashioned in 6 months or something, and you have to keep up with the times. At the same way, technology has increased to the point where I think we're on the verge of most description being delivered via apps and folks' smartphones. It's not quite there yet, but the apps are there, and just a matter of it catching on eventually, which I think it will.
Yeah, we've actually featured a few of the apps where they will actually sync up with the movie feeds, and then just play the description to you in your own earbuds, which I think is fantastic technology. Yep. And I know it's very popular in Europe. I know Italy, it's very popular in Italy. But we don't seem to have it here. But I guess it's mostly because of copyright issues. That's what I'm assuming.
Well, there are a number of issues. Italy started one a couple of years ago called Movie Reading, which has different features, pros and cons, I guess, in that particular effort. The most recent, I think, and significant development in this country is the Disney Anywhere app, which right now it's really just for Disney movies or Pixar movies. But that's going to expand, and there are going to be private spin-offs from that, and there have been several different versions. And you're right, I'm not so sure it's copyright as much as buy-in with the theaters to obtain the audio-described tracks. And, the same technology can be used to transmit dubs of films in alternate languages. So, obviously, description makes images accessible to people who are blind. Well, a Spanish-speaking person could use the same app to hear the movie in Spanish while they're in the movie theater with their family. The family speaks English. That person who's using the app only speaks Spanish, but they'll be able to enjoy the movie with everybody else. So I think there are real possibilities.
Now, I first met Joel through something called the ADP list, which I find as a invaluable resource to keep up to date on the latest about described video, laws, technology. why don't you tell our listeners who aren't familiar with it what the ADP list is?
Oh, you bet. Well, the list is, a discussion area. Listserv, I guess, was the way folks would refer to it in the past. And that's really just one function of the American Council of the Blind's audio description project. That listserv is a part of the website that we maintain. The audio description project has a number of initiatives. We give awards. We do some description for special events and museums. We will be producing the description for President Trump's inaugural, as we did for both of President Obama's inaugurals. So we do a number of special events, but probably the most public of our activities is the website. And let me share that web address with people, because it really is the number one resource, certainly in this country, for all things involving audio description in media, museums, performing arts, how to get it, where it is, etc. It's simply at www.acb.org/ADP, as in audio description project. I encourage your listeners to visit us, and there are instructions right there, I believe, on the homepage for joining that listserv.
Yeah.
So, which is indeed a real valuable place for people to post issues they're having, or successes they have with description, or what they're thinking of going on with description in any genre.
Yeah, and you guys do a great job with mentioning upcoming deadlines, and
Sure.
And as we just passed a historic deadline, in my opinion, the December 20th, part of the 21st Century Communications Act, where
That's right.
all cable menus must be accessible to the blind. Now, how do you feel the cable companies did meeting this deadline?
Well, we were all very pleased when Comcast announced the release of their X1 box. That was a good year ago, I want to say, or up to a year ago. That was really the first box for cable or satellite that would communicate orally, AUR, that had voice controls and the ability to hear what heretofore folks who were blind had a real trouble dealing with visual menus. So Comcast finally came out with something anticipating this December 20th deadline, Brian, that you mentioned. That was part of the 21st Century Communications and Video Accessibility Act, and it required and requires that cable and satellite manufacturers, even what's interesting, even recently, we weren't even aware of this, but even car companies, that was a bit of a surprise on several of us, but many cars come out with entertainment systems. Well, even those entertainment systems have to be accessible. There's been some application by some of the companies for extensions of the deadline. But the main deal is that cable and satellite and television boxes should be accessible, and now, as of December 20th. And many of the other outlets and broadcasters and cable boxes and such, they really just sort of sprang it out on December 20th and shortly thereafter. And we've been reporting on the ones that are out there, and it's a very positive thing.
For many users, I'm sure this is going to require a hardware upgrade. So they may need to contact their cable companies, I guess, and they may have to swap out their set-top boxes to be able to participate in the audio description.
I think you're right, Ed, and it just depends on what cable company you work with or satellite distributor. So you're right.
Ed, go ahead and ask him. I know you're curious.
Uh-oh.
What's that about Cablevision?
Yeah.
I'm hearing Cablevision is pushing some kind of a dongle that's supposed to communicate through a Kindle. I'm not even sure if that's going to work.
I don't know much about that. I know a little bit about Cablevision, but I'm not sure I've heard about the dongle. You'll have to find a little something and post that to the listserv, Ed. But
a friend of ours told us about this with Cablevision. So
yeah. I mean, that's interesting that it would require the use of a Kindle. I'm just not quite sure if that runs afoul of the regulations or not.
Yeah.
For instance, we talked earlier about using smartphones in a movie theater or whatever. Well, that would not obviate the necessity for movie theaters to maintain a few devices on their own, because access can't be dependent on somebody owning a smartphone or owning a Kindle.
Sure.
Access has to just be there, and so folks that don't have a smartphone could still use a receiver that's maintained by the movie theater.
Well, I can tell you, as far as the TiVo goes, I ran out and bought the newest because I had an old box, and right. I went out and bought it, and for a 1.0 version, it is tremendous. I mean, I still needed sighted assistance setting everything up, but once we got the software update, it is so easy to use. It is so, for somebody, I've had a TiVo since 03, and it was just great to have everything read to me. Now, the one disappointing area, and this was just with TiVo, was unfortunately the Netflix app and all the apps that I guess would be secondary content right. does not work with the screen reader. So that's something hopefully they could improve.
Interesting, yeah.
But that's the same issue we have with the Apple TV as well.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, a lot of it's funny because ABC, for example, does a phenomenal job. They actually are the only top network company where they push through the described video feeds for some of their shows. Yet, if you go to the ABC app on the Apple TV, none of the shows are labeled. It just says show 1, show 2, show 3. So it's kind of funny. It's some areas they do a great job. In other areas, it's like, what are you thinking?
Yeah, right.
What can people do who maybe who can they contact or reach out to should they find that their cable provider or satellite provider is not providing accessible menus or pushing through the described video feeds to them?
Sure. Well, obviously they should first make inquiry of their cable provider or satellite provider, and make sure they realize, hopefully the service representatives that you end up with initially realize that this is part of the law. This is required. Hopefully they'll have some information and be able to assist. If not, and many people end up going around, people post the word on the listserv, certainly. They use Twitter to get the word out, and that sometimes results in quick action because none of the companies want to hear folks disparaging their efforts on Twitter. But ultimately, the FCC fields complaints from listeners, viewers, and they will get on that pretty quickly and investigate the complaint. I would ask, and they're pretty accessible at fcc.gov, Gov. So that would be the last option, I think. But certainly should not be something you avoid doing.
Yeah, I was told if you're ever having an issue talking with your cable provider where they're giving you a hard time maybe transferring you to a second level help, all you need to say is, okay, I'll file a complaint with the FCC, and that's the last thing they want to hear.
No, that's right. You're right.
Now, as part of the 21st Century Communications Act, I know part of it is that all future technologies, at least as far as television, I believe, must be accessible to the blind. Now, this doesn't cover anything like microwaves or washing machines or any other home electronics, does it?
It does not. And you bring up a good point because the Association of Manufacturers of Appliances like that and also are under rather when they apply to broadcast television, are under the obligation to make their equipment accessible. That doesn't apply to a microwave, where I don't think too many people are accessing television on their microwave.
No.
Could be, but I don't
eventually, probably.
Maybe so. That's right.
Yeah, it'd be nice, if it included all those devices. I don't know about you, Ed. I've got, I had to have a sighted person place some dots and stuff that stick out and everything, so I know which buttons to press because everything's a touch screen.
Yeah, but what we are seeing is with the Internet of Things, we are seeing the interaction with these appliances and devices with applications that run on smartphones and tablets. So that's giving us the opportunity to communicate with them. So
right,
true.
And I think golly, just like so many advances in access over the years, I think folks are going to find out very quickly that having an audio function, an audio option, people who are sighted, everybody can use that. Everybody likes
yes.
that. It's like nowadays folks come across a curb cut and they figure, oh yeah, that's for bicyclists, or that's for folks pushing strollers, or captions. Oh yeah, captions. That's great because I can read what's happening on the TV at the bar or in the gym.
Yep.
Those things are there because people who use wheelchairs, people who are deaf, require them. And,
well, just look at Siri. How sighted people love using Siri, and that's something. Yeah, they love voice.
Exactly so, and not only that, we're finding another aspect of that. I think in museums, when I do audio described tours in museums and National Park Service sites, I really encourage them to be as accessible in as many ways as possible. Have their exhibits be tactile or haptic. Everybody likes to touch, and it will just make for a much livelier, more interesting exhibit or display for everybody, really. In the same way, docents, when they tour folks, when they take folks around the museum, if they know about audio description, those tours are going to be far more lively, far more intriguing, far more interesting for everybody.
Now, I know video description, and this is something that's fairly standard, so people don't overreact. I know it's hit a little bit of a snag due to a new regime coming into power and everything. But any word on an expansion? What is it, about 6 hours now that the top cable networks?
Well, right now, the law is at, it comes out to roughly 4 hours per week for the top 9 broadcasters in the top 60 or 61 markets. And, that's where we started with this. Captioning started at a very low level some 40 years ago.
Okay.
But it is unfortunate that it was set at that kind of a level, 4 hours.
That's nothing, yeah.
Broadcasters. In the UK, all broadcasters, the average is like 15% of all programming, not hours, percent, which is much higher number, of course. And we were coming up on the end of 2016 here, and the FCC had put on their docket a consideration of increasing the hours. The law doesn't allow an increase in this next year of past more than about 7 hours per week. Well, even that discussion was taken off their agenda for their last meeting of 2016 several weeks ago. And the word I have, of course, is that there just was a reluctance that came from Congress, mentioned to the FCC, a reluctance for any federal agency to implement any new regulations. That the anticipation is that the new administration, as we all know, is eager to cut regulations on business. So this is one place where I think the regulation is really nominal and really is not going to represent any sort of inappropriate or undue barrier or to the broadcasters, and yet the FCC took it off their agenda, and we will see the current FCC chairman has submitted his resignation as of January 20th, and we'll see what new appointments we have to the commission. That will affect the progress of the implementation of the CBAA over the next 4 years at least.
Joel, we've got a really big listener base. Ed, maybe we should write Joel in for the new FCC chair, because we know We know he'd care about described video.
I don't think that's going to happen. Although I have served on several FCC committees, and that's been an honor, and I think this has been helpful.
Good. What I had read the act, Joel, and one thing that I guess kind of alarmed me by it is that it didn't seem like it had a lot of teeth in it. It almost, when I read it, it was like these companies just had to show that they were making an effort, and it didn't seem to be any kind of penalties for not meeting these deadlines.
Well, you're right, Ed. I oftentimes will allude to the development of the legislation requiring captioning. Well, captioning is at 100% now. And that really has to do with the fact that it was written into the law. A certain percent increase happened every year. It was automatic. Unfortunately, with the CVAA, the language is much more tame, if you will. It doesn't say that broadcasters are required to go to 7 hours in this next year. No, it said the FCC could consider boosting the regulation. Very mild sort of thing, far short of a requirement of an advance of a certain percent or whatever. So it certainly is our hope. The ACB has been in the forefront of trying to educate Congress about this issue, the American Foundation for the Blind as well. So we will keep up the fight, and hopefully we'll see some advances over the next few years.
Yeah, I think what really disturbs me more is that when the described video tracks exist and they're just not available as part of the distribution, whether it's streaming or online or for download, and that I don't understand.
Well, no, you're right. The law, the regulations are about broadcast television. And, it is odd that the audio description track exists, but it simply doesn't get transferred and used with streaming. And obviously the technologies are different, and many media players on the web still don't have a button to turn on or off description as they do for captioning. That's something else we're aware of and working on. But in a similar way, it's always bothered me. This is something it's stuck in my craw for a number of years now. The fact that movies will come out with description, but in this country, when the subsequent DVD is released, it doesn't have a description track. And I don't quite understand that at all. Whereas in the UK, just about every DVD comes out has description with it. And the same companies, the same movie companies, just a different division that's working overseas. I don't quite understand that. Again, the home entertainment people perhaps don't understand the numbers of people they could reach, not just people who are blind or have low vision, but their family, their friends, people with other disabilities that benefit from an audio description track. Hopefully we'll see some progress there too.
Yeah, now, you were very key, and your organizations were very key in getting Netflix on board. And Netflix, for a very long time, was fighting described video, and eventually they caved in. And I have to really commend Netflix, because they have done some of the best described video tracks with their original content that I've seen.
Yeah, well, indeed, as you're absolutely right. Netflix, Amazon to a lesser extent, we're looking at Hulu. But Netflix has finally embraced it, producing description tracks for their own productions. They don't have as much control over the DVD you might just order through Netflix that's produced elsewhere. But you're right, Netflix is pretty actively getting the described tracks out for their own productions.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, you mentioned Amazon. That was our next question, because we haven't seen anything from Amazon, whether it's their original content or if you rent or buy a movie from Amazon. It doesn't seem like there's any way to get a described video track.
It's minimal. It is minimal. It's very limited. And again, like with Amazon, with Hulu and others, we're trying to spread the word, and I think Netflix is a great model example of what these other entities can do.
Yeah.
And hopefully they'll pick up on it.
Is there anything our listeners could do to petition Amazon or Hulu? Do you recommend contacting them, or?
Absolutely, yeah. Petitions can be effective, certainly, but just if enough of your listeners contact Amazon on the web, send an email, just make their voices known. I always say people who are blind need to be more visible, unintended. Just make their wishes known. The American Foundation for the Blind, I think in 2008, so that's 8 years ago, estimated that there are over 21 million Americans who are either blind or have trouble seeing even with correction. Well, that's 8% of the population. They have family, they have friends, then there are the other populations that would benefit from description. That's a sizable market. And as I say, the folks that are responsible for those productions and broadcasts need to realize they're missing out on an untapped market here by not including description. And if every one of those 21 million people, sent an email, we'd see some action.
Or even just tweet at Amazon.
That's right.
It's as simple as that. Just mention what's going on with described video or something.
You're right. You're absolutely right. Yeah, Twitter can be very effective. Companies, they follow tweets about their own activities, and when they see complaints, they tend to respond.
Well, Brian is a big proponent of blasting, getting his opinion across on Twitter, and you know what, Brian, you do get responses.
I do.
A lot of the time.
I do. Most of the time, I do get a response, and I've worked with companies like Yahoo. I'm a big sports fan, Joel, and I've worked with Yahoo to make their fantasy game accessible. In fact, we're wrapping up the first iAccess VO all-blind fantasy football league, and I'm happy to say I made it to the championship, so I did us proud.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. So, but now, what about it's interesting, as our listeners know, I had my first experience earlier this year in theaters with described video. I forget the name of the theater chain. This was back in February, but I went there, and of course, the described videos, I guess not software, but hardware was completely broken.
Yeah.
And I went to see Star Wars, so I couldn't see it. And the movie theater, we got the manager's phone number, called us a few days later. They got everything fixed, and they let us come see the movie for free. How do you feel movie theaters are doing at making films accessible to the blind with their own technologies?
They're not doing well at all.
Okay.
More and more movies, first-run feature films, come out with description. But the movie theaters have to, come up to the plate and cooperate. At movie theaters, the ushers, the staff, there's a high turnover rate. Training is part of some recently issued Department of Justice rules that the ADA should apply to movie theaters presenting captioned and described films. So as that becomes better known, as penalties start to be assessed, if it takes that, that's happened with museums under the ADA if they don't have audio description. So it's a matter of really taking it seriously, maintaining the equipment, making sure all staff knows the difference between a receiver that's set for assisted listening for a person who's hard of hearing versus set for description. That is just an obvious thing, but that's one of the most common complaints we get of access in movie theaters. One other thing quickly I'm going to mention, Brian, because I say audio description because that's what it's been known as since 1981.
Yeah,
and that's a bit of a thing for me. The FCC decided at one point, well, we should call this video description because it happens on television. Well, even the FCC is beginning to come around, I think, a little bit, because when we have described video, we have video description, we have audio narrative, we have narrative description, you name it. I think you're taking something that's underknown to begin with and making it even more confusing.
Yeah.
So oftentimes people talk about television and they say, "Oh yeah, I get DVS." Well, DVS, that's a great program. It is the description service that WGBH offers, and they were the first to offer it. I wrote and voiced several of their pilots back in the mid-1980s. They're great. DVS, descriptive video service. But, if you call it DVS, then what is it in a live theater? What is it in a museum? What is it in a movie theater? I'm in favor of just trying to reference it all as audio description.
I agree with you, because when you say closed captioning to the general public, everybody knows what you're talking about.
That's right.
When you say video description, describe video, audio description, people don't know what we really need to come up with a singular way, and it can't be video description, because I can't go around telling people I really want VD.
Yeah, that has actually been come up. That's actually been mentioned at FCC hearings and elsewhere. It's a funny way of illustrating the problem.
Yeah.
So
I think that's the way the search audio described video in iTunes is. I think you could just type in AD in the search.
Yeah,
and
I believe
it
so.
Comes up.
Yeah. We're making some progress on that. It's slow, but we just want to be sure people know what we're talking about, and it gets more visibility, as I say.
Yeah, it would make life a lot easier if we had a universal term which was used for everything, and that way the general public would know, because Ed and I educate the general public on these terms, whether we're posting on Facebook or you'd be amazed how many people cited when I posted this thing about the cable networks. Just absolutely love the fact that the menus are now being read to us. That's and right. Everything, and people really do care. They're just not aware of this if it doesn't affect them.
That's right. You're absolutely right. We've got to get the word out, and I'm grateful for you to you for even having this interview. The more we can get the word out, the better. And your program is a great venue for that.
I actually think we've covered this topic about 4 or 5 times.
Oh yeah,
Brian. Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably our most covered topic because it's something I'm very passionate. I worked in the movie business, and fortunately for me, they don't make good movies anymore, so I don't. Even if I could see, I'm not sure I would want to work in the movie business. I'm not a big fan of all these CGI superhero movies, and it just seems that the art of storytelling has gone away from a lot of movies these days. Everything is big, blow them up, and visual and everything. But
let's remake. That's all they do is remake.
A remake of a book of. I'm watching this new show, Shooter, on USA, which has great described video, by the way. And Shooter was a best-selling book that was a movie with Mark Wahlberg, and now it's a television show with Ryan Felipe. Come up with a new idea. But, Joel, we're at the end of the year, so what do you hope to see in 2017 from described video and maybe, assistive technology?
Well, I'm very hopeful that we will still see some progress with the FCC, an increase of the hours on which description is required for broadcast television. I'm hoping that we'll see some progress with this notion of using apps to access description in the movie theater. The acceptance or use of smartphones is probably still at maybe 50-60%. I don't know for sure. That's going to go up every year, and so I think use of those apps to access description is going to be a real game changer. I continue to work with communities around the world to develop audio description programs locally for museums, for theater companies. I recently came back from a week in Cuba where I was training describers. That was country number 51 for me, where I have either done description or introduced description or trained describers. So we're getting the word out there, and in fact, I'll toot my horn even further. I in 2004, the American Council of the Blind published my book, The Visual Made Verbal, a comprehensive training manual and guide to the history and applications of audio description. And that's done real well. And in fact, just this week, It came out in Russian, of all things. And the Polish and Portuguese versions are on the way. We're working on Spanish next. So,
where is that book on Amazon? Where can people get that book?
Yeah. The book is on Amazon. You can get it through Amazon. You can get it through the American Council of the Blind, their mini mall site. You can get it at its own website that the printer has established, the visualmadeverbal.net. Amazon's probably the easiest way to order a copy. And it's available, of course, in print, but on the ACB website, you can download it in a Word format so that it's accessible via screen reader. And as a matter of fact, when we finish our interview, I'm running down to the DC library I think it'll be my last session in recording the book, actually having an audio file of the book that will then soon be available through the Library of Congress National Library Service and at the DC Library. So we're trying to make it available and accessible in as many ways as possible.
That's fantastic. Well, Ed, one thing I do not want to hear in 2017.
What's that, Brian?
That Cuba's doing more for described video than the United States.
I don't think we're in much danger.
Okay.
It's still relatively new.
Okay, well, that I do not want to hear.
But, and there are a lot of technological issues there as well that are difficult. But in any event, they've made a beginning for sure.
That's great.
As have a number of other countries around the world. UK is way ahead of us.
Oh, yeah.
It came out of the United States. The UK is way ahead of us. Canada even as well. They're the only country that has a 100% accessible TV channel. Accessible Media Inc. Is a channel where all broadcasts are described.
Wow.
Be nice to have that here too.
Yeah, I think I heard Australia and New Zealand are even ahead of the United States when it comes to description.
Well, it's hard to say ahead of exactly, but they've made real strides. I've trained describers in both of those countries, and a lot of their description is imported from the UK or from the United States, but they're doing more and more all the time. So that's a good sign.
Well, Joel, I do want to thank you. You've been doing great work, and you've been doing it for a long time. It seems like this has turned into like your lifelong passion, and I know I am very appreciative of all the hard work you've done.
Well, thank you, Ed. Thank you, and same back to you guys for doing this program and reaching so many people. It's a great opportunity to spread the word about the needs of folks who are blind.
Hey, we're helping ourselves by doing this. So
that's right. That's right. Exactly.
So it's a little selfish, but we have fun doing it, and we get to share people's stories. So
a little self-interested service to others. That's okay.
Exactly. Well, Joel, this was fantastic. I mean, just it's an exciting time. Like I said, I keep telling people, if you have to be blind, there's not more of an exciting time to be blind than right now with technology and I can't imagine blind people that were blind. Ed and I both went blind later in life, but 40 years ago, things were really limited, and now, just the amount of resources we have at our fingertips, and it sounds like it's going to be getting even better as long as Congress continues to back us up.
That's right. That's right. Well, we're going to do all we can and keep in touch with Congress. Let them know. The network people and the movie people, all of that. Just keep up the pressure and the educational process for all of them.
Exactly. And give the link again to the ACB with all the resources.
You bet. www.acb.org/ADP for Audio Description Project.
And that's a website you definitely want to bookmark. I've spent plenty of time on it. They've got I believe they also now have a list of 463 movies on iTunes, I believe.
Well, there's iTunes, absolutely. We're following on iTunes, so we follow every DVD that comes out with description. We have a master schedule of everything that's described on broadcast television, as well as sections on live theater, sections on live museum work, etc.
Yes.
So really everything you wanted to know about description.
Very valuable resource. Well, Joel, happy holidays to you and your family.
Same back at you.
This was
Joel. Thank you.
A great treat.
All right, you bet. Bye-bye.
You're listening to Brian and Ed on iAccess VO.
Well, Ed, that was just an absolute wealth of information. And Joel, I mean, hey, thanks so much. I mean, Joel's not visually impaired, and obviously his life's work is something that us in the visually impaired community are very passionate about.
Yeah, no, thank you, Joel. And man, I just want to, I'd like to sign on just to be an assistant so I could maybe tap into some of those 51 countries he's got to travel to.
Yeah, no kidding, man. That's unbelievable. I didn't even know there were 51 countries.
Yeah, we're still working on just the ones in Europe for you.
I'm at 6. Oh, Ed, so Christmas came and went. Did you get your earpods or AirPods, whatever they're calling them?
Well, I did not get the AirPods because I do not have the iPhone 7. You do. But truthfully, from what I've seen and what I've read and the reviews that I've covered on this thing, I don't think I would spend the money on these things.
Well, they don't. They work with earlier iPhones than just the iPhone 7, Ed.
Okay, so I still wouldn't get them.
Yeah, well, first off, you can't get them because they only manufactured 4 of them. But
yeah, and they gave those out for people to review them.
And the reviews have not been kind.
Yeah, well, they haven't been horrible, but I think when you take the reviews and you match it up with the $160 price tag,
yeah.
I think a lot of people draw the conclusion like, nah,
yeah, and I've seen some people in the community that are like, yeah, I got them, and the sound's not that much better than the wired buds. And
well, that's exactly the first thing I've heard about the reviews. People review them say the sound quality is a minimal step up from the wired versions.
But you get to pay $160 too for them.
Yeah.
And they don't even have noise cancellation.
Yeah, no, that's pretty amazing. But the one thing that I do hear is that the pairing process is really, really, really good. So from that standpoint,
Come on. So I can pay $160 so I don't have to click settings
and have
Bluetooth
pairing issues, right?
Pair.
Yeah.
You know me, I love my tech, but I don't see me running out to buy these. And only 5-hour battery life. I mean, I know you have the case that can recharge them on the go, but and if you lose the case, $69 for a new case, Ed.
Well, not just that, but even like the battery issues. If you have to have the battery replaced on these things, it's $49 per pod. So they price them separately. So if there's any issues, you can replace a single pod, or you have a battery issue. It'll cost you $49 to repair the pod. It's I don't know. It doesn't go well with the way I would spend my money.
And we still don't even have a confirmation about just using one earbud with that auto pause feature. Unfortunately, I have not been able to get anybody. So if you do have the pods, again, let us know if you could listen with only one button, because we know there is some kind of auto pause feature. Let us know how Siri works, because that's the one thing about my Bluetooth. I can't really dictate very well. It always butchers everything whenever I'm using my Bluetooth earbuds and everything.
Well, that was the one thing I heard, is that you first of all, there's no volume control. You cannot raise or lower the volume with the pods.
Yeah.
And I've heard that it's either activate and use Siri with it, or be able to, I don't know, answer calls or something like that. So it's limited access to the phone. I mean, you just don't have the flexibility like you do with the wired pods or some of the other like the MPAL Bluetooth earbuds that I use, where I have complete volume control and the ability to answer a call by pushing a button and activate Siri. So. And
you spent what, $20, $25 for those?
They range in price from $20 to $25, depending on what time of the week or what time of the month or whatever. Whenever you're on Amazon, they always seem to be fluctuating between $20 and $25. Yes.
Yeah, Apple. They seem to be swinging and missing a lot lately.
Yeah, I'm kind of feeling the same way. I mean, I just I don't know. I'm hoping to see bigger and better things coming in 2017 for Apple, but I'm just even the new Mac. I'm not. They build the new MacBook Pro and they take away all of the ports on it. I know a lot of podcasters who love to use their Macs for MacBook Pros for recording and things like that. It's just you got to go out and either get like these really crazy dongles or go out and get a docking station of something.
Yeah, you just like saying the word dongle.
I say it for you, Brian.
Well, yeah, I have not read great things about the new Touch Bar. A lot of issues, a lot of battery issues with the new It just seems like it has not been Apple's year. But hey, good news for Apple. We're a few days away from turning the calendar in 2017. It'll be the 10-year anniversary of the iPhone, and hopefully we'll see some exciting things besides like camera upgrades and because they always seem to be doing that and everything. But I think I'd like to see a new iPhone that you just implant in your head or something in 2017.
Well, I know, we've always, as a family at Christmas time, every 2 years we've done phone upgrades for the kids and everything. And this is the first year we're not upgrading the phones for the kids. I'm waiting. We're going to wait till next year. So
it makes sense. If you haven't updated yet, you might as well wait because and we're probably only 3-4 months away from all the rumors and everything, But so we're recording this. We'll be coming out in a week, but 2 days from now we have the iAccess VO Fantasy Football Finals, and guess who's in it, Ed?
I heard you squeaked in at the final hour.
I beat out Laura, and Laura, she was a tough competitor. Unfortunately for Laura, she would have beat any other team in the league during the semifinals except me. Look at the big brain on Brian, putting up the most points, and that's the problem with fantasy football, because it's a little disappointing when you put up the second most points. Would have beat any other team in the league, but so I beat our one woman in the league. Now I'm going to play our one foreigner in the league, Nick from Montreal, who does some work with the good guys over at Blind Abilities. He's with them every now and then. So I'm looking forward to beating Nick, and I guess if I win, we'll call that a victory for iAccess VO over Blind Abilities, huh? Even though Jeff, those guys weren't in the league, but hey, what? And if we lose, we'll probably never tell you anything about what happened in the finals.
There you go. Well, it worked out well. I think I was very impressed because you told me that everybody who signed up for the iAccess VO Blind Fantasy Football League actually stayed through the end, which is awesome.
Yeah, and our team that only lost, Pookie's Bandits, who won the regular season with only one loss. He got knocked out by Nick in an upset in the playoffs. So, Pookie did great. And John Panarese, who smartly named his team I Stink, he didn't do so well. But, yeah. So, but, hey, it's a few months away. I know we've had a little bit of interest. We probably will attempt to do an iAccess VO Fantasy Baseball League. So, email us in. You might not have been a football fan, or you might not have gotten into the league. We'll probably do a 12-team fantasy baseball league. You could already email us in if you want to at iaccessvo@gmail.com, and I'll go ahead and acknowledge that I've received the email, and we'll just save it until we get close to baseball season. But we will be looking for 12 people for the first iAccess VO Fantasy Baseball League.
Awesome. Yeah. So, so I've been seeing a lot of news lately, Brian, about autonomous cars. I mean, this has been the year where everybody seems to be aware of it, and, not necessarily for blind people, but I know that a lot of people in the blind community are watching all this news and getting very excited.
Yeah, and you were telling me that when I always thought about autonomous cars, I'm like thinking, well, I'm not going to have $20,000 or $30,000 to buy one. But you were telling me that that's not going to be the case, that you're just going to be able to whistle and an autonomous car will show up with a robot driver.
Well, that's the thinking about the autonomous car industry is going to revolutionize transportation over the next 8 to 10 years, and you'll probably see a lot less people buying automobiles, and you'll just be able to either, who knows, at that point you might have that chip in your brain and you just be able to, think about a car and it'll show up, or just access your app and just like you call an Uber, an autonomous car will come pick you up, take you where you got to go, and there'll be another one, circling around somewhere with nobody in it when you're ready to go home,
Oh, now will it hover like George Jetson?
If you want yours to hover, you have to start your diet for 2017.
Oh, yeah, that thing. No, but I think this is a great thing. I can't wait until we get robot drivers, because it'll be so nice to get a robot driver that doesn't have a religion that forbids me to have my guide dog in his car.
Yeah, I mean, that's the biggest complaint that I think we've heard about using the car services is the fact that a lot of times these service dogs are refused entry into the cars.
Yeah. Although that'll be the day. I can't wait to hear you cannot bring your dog in this car from a robot.
Well, didn't you tell me recently that someone refused you entry into, was it a taxi cab, because he said he didn't like the smell of the dog?
Yeah. I was coming home from Gotham, actually, last Friday, and I had a guy from Gotham helping me flag the cab, and he wanted to grab the cab driver out of the cab and throw him a beating. He's like, he was really got aggressive, the guy from Gotham, wanting to get the guy's license number and everything, knowing the law, and eventually I just jumped in the cab and just sat there, and he eventually took me, and he didn't say one word to me I just heard him say, I don't want the smell of the dog in the car, and Nash doesn't smell.
Well, he didn't realize it was you.
Yeah, that's right. The smell was me. I showered once in 2016. So.
Oh, okay. What's his complaint? I don't get it.
Yeah. Hey, buddy. I should have said I can't wait until you're replaced by a robot.
Yeah. Right. Wow.
But
I know. And it's unfair to say, to mention Uber in this context all the time, because it's not just Uber.
No, it's taxi cabs.
It is yellow taxi cabs in New York City. There are, I guess, I've heard about some Lyft drivers and things like that. So, it can happen at any time, and your rights are that you can get in the cab. I give you a lot of credit, though, Brian. I don't know if I would have taken a ride from the guy at that point.
It was about 14 degrees out. And
that's right. Right, we had that.
It's not like you had a lot of choices, cabs.
Yeah, we had
8 o'clock at night.
The polar vortex rolled in, so you didn't have much of a choice.
Actually, it was about 9 o'clock, pardon me, on a Friday night, Manhattan. So cabs aren't widely available and everything. And
right.
Yeah, no, and I was not feeling great still, so I just wanted to get in that cab and get home. And it was, maybe 2017 we'll see a turn and we'll see less ignorance from drivers about service dogs. We've heard it's gotten better. I just seem to always get the winners. But yeah, I mean, it's been another year. I guess it's been a full year of podcasting for us at IXVO, Ed. What do you hope to see from 2017, whether it's in assistive technology, autonomous cars, iAccess Fantasy Baseball? What do you hope the year brings?
I got to tell you, we haven't discussed it on any of our episodes yet, but and I'm hoping that we get to do an episode on it sometime in early 2017. I've been following this group that's developing this product called Dictation Bridge, which is a product that they did a crowd source funding, and they raised $20,000 to put this together. They licensed the technology from Sierratech, and they're building this free software that people will be able to use to dictate letters, messages, email, things like that, and even control the computer. And I know that they have the interface built with NVDA, which is a free screen reader, and they're working on the interface right now for JAWS. So, anybody that takes that much effort, puts that much work into something to develop something that's going to benefit the community, and the sole purpose is to do it so it's affordable access, they've got my attention. I'm looking for a good 2017 for that.
That sounds exciting, except obviously I'm on the Mac side, so you'll have to keep us apprised of how that develops. It definitely sounds intriguing. One of the things I'm very excited for, I believe it won the Innovation of the Year, and mine, I just remembered, is supposed to be arriving in January. I was supposed to get them in September, but there was a delay. I'm looking forward to getting my Ira glasses.
Ooh, that's right. You were accepted into the early scout program, I think they call it, or something like that.
Something like that. And unfortunately, there was a couple delays. But I keep getting emails about all this exciting stuff going on with IRA and all these awards they're receiving. And I'm like, enough of this. Send me my pair already, so I can see what the fun's all about. And I want to put those things on and go into what do you call it? Schillingers. It'd be like, is she hot? Is she hot? And no, that's not how I'm going to use them.
At least not until after your third cocktail.
You know what? It would have been great to use to flag down a cab on my own instead of having the guy from Gotham help me.
No, because I know that we have that one service in New York City. Was it VIA?
Yeah,
they have their own app, and I know they're in Chicago. I know they're in New York, and I think they've
DC.
And DC now too, and I think they've expanded into some of the other boroughs in New York. It used to strictly just be Manhattan, but the problem is, they pick you up on the nearest corner, but you have to be able to see them when they pull up. They're not, they don't waste a lot of time looking for you.
No, and Ira is something that might be very helpful. When they tell me gray sedan. I could just dial up. Like I said, I've yet to use these. I don't know how quick it works. So hopefully that's something, that you have enough time to dial somebody up and everything. But I'm really looking forward to it. It's something that we had the developer on earlier this year. Very exciting. Like I said, they've won some awards for Innovation of the Year, and it's just something that I'm really excited to test out and get going with.
Oh, I think you're going to enjoy them, because I know after our interview, I was able to actually get my hands on the Ira glasses for a demo, and it's real time. It really is.
Where did you get the demo on that? At work?
At the Andrew Heskell Library when they had the technology fair.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
they were there, and I was pleasantly surprised to see them there, and it was a great opportunity to actually meet face to face with the company and
Suman,
get it all.
I think his name is Suman.
Yeah.
Suman.
Yes, Suman was there, and we got to talk, and he gave me a full blown demo, and I ended up bringing 2 or 3 other people into his area, and he demoed all of them as well. It was really nice.
Yeah, and. I if it works anything like the video, and I want sometimes these videos are acted out, it's incredible. I mean, if you have not seen the video, Google it. It is. I mean, it brings me almost to tears, when I watch it and everything. But believe it or not, that's when I'm home alone and everything, and stuff like that makes me emotional. But 2017, I'm looking. Hopefully, we'll get some more described video. Hopefully, iTunes will start releasing described video tracks with more movies. I'd love to see Amazon streaming finally get on board with actually having a described video track for something. But I'll tell you, the end of my year's been fantastic. I'm very excited with my TiVo and it talking to me and everything. And the one thing that who's not happy about yet another talking device in the apartment is Nash.
Yes, Nash is the guide dog that does not like screen readers.
No, he's anti-screen reader.
I've actually been over your apartment, and the minute your devices start talking, he just looks up, gets up, walks out of the room, and goes into your bedroom.
Yeah. No, the problem is I now have a Mac in there, which I don't have turned on, but I've got the Dot in there. I've got an Apple TV in there. And,
well, you know what? That's why your Dot's not working. He sabotaged
it. Well, he is in the bedroom most of the day, and maybe he chewed through the wires. He never chews on anything. This could be a first. I'll have to check the wires. And
he don't have to chew on it. He just has to drool on it.
He does drool. So it's funny that he's. I wonder if all service dogs are like that. So if you have a service dog and he's not a fan of your talking devices, do let us know, because my guy is definitely not a fan of all the talking and everything. So
but no, it's been a good year, my friend. We've had some great responses and great guests, and people are able to interact with us and communicate with us on our email account and through Twitter and now through our iAccessVO Facebook page. So it's
don't forget the phone line. We haven't had a phone call in a while.
Yeah, I keep forgetting to put the number up there, don't I? It's 732-660-8641. Sure, give us a call, give us your feedback, give us your thoughts, ideas. If you like what we say, let us know. If Brian gets on your nerves, tell us that too, and maybe we'll put you on the air.
Yeah, we haven't had a call from that. What was that guy's name off that island in Russia in a while? I hope I don't know if his country's at war or what, but we haven't heard from him in a while. So
Hansel, I think is
Hansel. That was it. Yeah, Hansel. Hansel, 2017. We want to hear from you. We want to hear what's going on. And we got the Facebook page, YouTube. And it's just we've really expanded, and we'd like to say thanks to all the listeners, because without you and without all the support and the great reviews and everything, we probably wouldn't be doing this. But it really is a interactive show. We like to have users comment and feedback, and if you have any topics that you'd like us to cover, definitely let us know, and we hope you're enjoying what we're doing. So we'll keep doing it until they cure blindness, which I don't think is going to happen in 2017, Ed. I'd like to see it.
I'd like to see it at some point too, Brian, but you know what? Just the fact that we're able to build a community and have friends and everything else like that, you know what? It's okay.
Were you the one that told me that without the blindness you wouldn't have any friends? Hello? Hello? iAccessVO.
I couldn't resist. I just had to go silent.
You had to go silent. That wasn't nice. I guess I still should be careful, because we are recording this before Christmas, so I could get some bah humbug or what do they put in your stocking?
You're going to get some coal in your Hanukkah stocking. Do you have Hanukkah stockings?
We did growing up, yes, but okay. I don't really celebrate any of the only holiday I celebrate is Groundhog's Day.
Okay. Well,
that's my birthday.
That's right. I forgot.
Yeah. So I'm a big Groundhog Day celebrator.
Oh, we'll have to do another Schillinger's evening for your birthday.
Schillinger's, yes.
Yeah, wings at Dillinger's, and we'll finish up for drinks at Shillelagh's.
Sounds like a good night to me, but hey, what episode is this? 33?
32.
32. Our little baby's all grown up.
All grown up. Get ready to go into middle age.
Yeah. So if we make it through another year, we'll be, I guess, in our 50s, huh?
Oh, easily. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. So, but no, it's been a good year, my friend. Thank you for keeping this going, and I do appreciate a lot of the work that you do, because I know that I took a new job on this year, and I put a lot of hours in with work and everything, and a lot of this happens because you take the time to put the show notes together and do a lot of the research that we joke about and things like that. But
that's why I keep getting fired. Technically, I fired myself before Christmas every year.
You're George Steinbrenner and Billy Martin all rolled up into one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I have multiple personalities, but no, I appreciate that, and thank you, because you do a lot of great. I know how busy you are with that new job, which you're much happier though. It was just a fantastic opportunity for you and your family and everything, and so I know you really enjoy the work. You're passionate about it. You're helping people, and you still also have to put a lot of work into tagging the podcast and working on some of the audio and getting it up, and Patrick as well. We really have to send a very special thanks out to Patrick Lafayette, our great editor, who really doesn't get the due that he should get. He's the man behind the scenes that makes Ed sound good and me not sound like a wackadoodle, and
one of these days we're going to have to put out an episode of all the outtakes.
Yeah, but that might not make that. people might not want to listen to us when they really know what I sound like, and be like, I don't like that guy. He's angry.
Well, you know what? We can get over the angry segment because I know that we did one episode this year, which you cracked me up because you could not stop giggling for an hour.
That was really funny. Yeah, we
tried starting that episode. I think, what did we do, like 30 takes? It was incredible.
I've never had that happen. I got the giggles. We started the episode, and I just started, and I don't even know what was funny. Every time I started saying, welcome, to welcome back, and I just started losing it. And
you never made it more than 3 sentences in, and it would start again. In the beginning, it was like, okay, it was funny the first 2 times. Then I started getting a little annoyed, and then by like the 10th time, I was you had me cracking up, and
it wasn't like I was doing it on purpose. So
no, I know, and we just weren't getting anywhere. And then finally, it took a while, but we finally got that episode.
We had that, and then there was a certain episode that we had to record like 4 times because of different audio quality.
Oh God, yeah, that was that was episode 13. It was like
that's right.
13. Yeah, and it was and we're doing it with our friend. Thank God it was somebody we're very close with, Alan Gunsberg, because we said, Alan, we got to do the show again.
Yeah, and thanks to all the listeners for following us on Twitter and passing, really sharing the episodes, and you've really helped us reach a larger listenership from just sharing the episodes. And if people are finding the show useful and entertaining, and we try not to be dull and boring and sound too techy, but
I'm just amazed at the global listenership that we have. I mean, I look at the country list that we get our downloads in, and we are, 30% of our listeners are in the UK, compared to our US listeners, and Canada is at 20%. And, so it's pretty awesome, and then Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, and Turkey, Malaysia, Germany, Spain, Ireland. I mean,
what are these words you're mentioning? I'm not familiar with any of them.
We'll get there in 2017, Brian. We're still working on the European countries for you. But yes, no, it's been phenomenal. The downloads have just exploded for us. So we've got a great listener base. We are looking to roll the app out sometime in the first quarter of next year, and I think once we do that, we'll be able to provide additional content for just people who subscribe to the app. And one of those things could be the outtake.
Yeah, that would be a good place for that and everything. So, but my friend, I think we're getting long here because we had such a great interview.
Yep.
I think we got to do it.
Let's let these people get to it so they can celebrate a good New Year with their family and they can start their 2017. So, Brian, again, thank you and Happy New Year to you.
And happy holidays to all, because for 2016, we are out.